How's it going, everybody? You good, doing good? All right, word, all right, word, all right. I'm nervous. That's all right. My flight, it sucked, but I did. Actually, you know what? It got me here safely, so thank you. That's all I can say. So I'm here to talk to you today about reasonable recklessness. Okay, that's the topic. And I'm going to start off by just telling you I'm gay. All right, sorry, ladies. Hey, not as gay as that dude's blazer, but still gay nonetheless. And that was actually a pretty reckless statement that I just made about being gay. Okay? Does anybody know why it might be reckless? Because some people don't like it. I'm not talking about the blazer comment. I mean just that I'm gay. That some people don't like it. But do you know that there's also lots of places in the U.S. where you can be fired for being gay? There are other places in the world where you can be killed for being gay even. So it's kind of reckless. There are people in my social circle who aren't true friends, obviously, but who, after they found out, they distanced themselves. You know, maybe guilt by association. I don't know. You know, there are other people who all of a sudden just stopped talking to me altogether. So there was that. There's the threat of physical violence. Okay? Yeah, you would think that nobody would kind of come and try to attack me. Maybe not personally, but if I was in a nightclub in Orlando, for example, I might have gotten shot to death. Some of my straight friends might have been shot to death because there are plenty of straight people who go to gay clubs, women who don't want to be harassed by guys, and they've got female friends. They've got gay friends in there. Straight guys who know that there are lots of women in there who like open-minded men. So there are all kinds of people in gay clubs. You know, the world is expanding. So if you've got a problem with it, well, that's your problem. But either way, it was reckless for me to say. And it's also something that I am very often afraid to say publicly for those very reasons that I just named. Okay? So I'll talk about fear in a second. But part of the reason why I feel like it's necessary, because in 2016, some people say, like, whoa, you're gay, who cares? Okay? It's actually necessary in a sense because there are people who, in the old days, you know, they couldn't hide that fact. You know, I could butch it up. I can do all these, you know, examples of performative heteronormativity, you know, stereotypes of what men are supposed to be about. I can do all that. Many gay guys do that. But that's not living my true self. That's not what heroes do. Lying, that's not what heroes do. So I couldn't really face myself if that's the type of life that I was trying to live. But again, it does mean that I often have to go into situations where I'm afraid of what the response is going to be. Okay? But people who can't hide their sexuality, in the old days when it was illegal to be gay, when you could be thrown in jail because of it, not just because you couldn't just lose your job, but you could also lose your livelihood, you could lose your freedom. Those people still owned it. They didn't go into the closet. They didn't hide. So those are the people that I look to as heroes, in addition to our traditional heroes of firefighters and, you know, teachers and soldiers and nurses, etc. But other people who have to live in their truths because they don't have any other option. Those are the people who inspire me to do things, okay? Shaking off these nerves little by little. So let me point at this clicker. All right, fear. Now, fear's a good thing, right? I mean, fear keeps us alive. Fear's been programmed into us to keep us from being eaten by animals, from being, you know, separated from the tribe to keep the human line going. So fear has a place, all right? It does keep you safe. But nowadays, with the advent of modern technology, we don't have to run away from lions and tigers and bears, etc. Okay? Oh. You're keeping up. You're keeping up. And so, you know, nowadays, fear has transmuted. It has mutated, actually. And we're afraid of things that kind of don't make sense. What are we afraid of? What are some of the things that we're afraid of? Clowns. Well, you know, I did read a meme that said there's nothing to fear but fear itself and spiders. But what'd you do, though? If you're scared of your mom when she's angry, what'd you do to anger her? Talking back. But the point is, we've got many different fears. Animals, we have fear of pain, right? We have fear of death. Even if you don't have fear of death, fear of painful death, that's not attractive. There's fear of abandonment and loss. What kinds of things can we lose in life? Love, time, food, people, okay? Our sanity, control, money. Okay, we do a lot of things because we are afraid to lose things. We're afraid of rejection and abandonment. Rejection and judgment. We're afraid of rejection and judgment. We think that we aren't good enough. We don't have the right clothes, the right car, the right whatever else. We are not enough. The whitest teeth, all these different things, okay? And these fears are keeping us from living our best selves. Why is that? Does anybody know? Well, we're allowing them to keep us from expanding outward, and we're often allowing other people's fears, society's fears, our parents' fears, fears of people who do care about us, who do love us, who want to see us, be stable, have what they would consider a good life, to be responsible. But often responsibility, in the way that we've been taught it, is not necessarily the thing that resonates with you, the thing that you want to do. Okay, you may not want to sit in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. processing documents. If that's your dream, great, go for it. But if you want to do other things, then often it means stepping through fear, okay? What are you missing when you don't step through fear? So let me talk a little bit about myself. I've got a dream job. That's why there's clouds on my slides, okay? These are images that I took from various flights that I've taken. And I've been to maybe 60 countries. I've lived in 5, Colombia, Brazil, Dominican Republic, South Africa, Germany. Lived there, worked there, had friends and relationships there in all these different places. And when I was 14 years old, I was 300 pounds. I was a nerd. I had no friends. And I went to Sweden for the summer as a foreign exchange student. Now, obviously, I had some fears. My parents probably had more fears because I was the type of kid that was just like, whatever, I'm going to Sweden. I hate it here in Florida where I'm a fatty with no friends, so I want to go someplace else. And I ended up going to Sweden. My folks obviously were worried, what if something happened? What if he doesn't have friends there? What if, he wants to stay? Okay? But they didn't let those fears keep me grounded. They allowed me to go and experience life myself, and it's been life-changing. It set the groundwork that allowed me to start focusing on living the dream that I wanted to live, which is being a travel writer. So I travel, and I get paid for it. Anybody in here can do it. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you're willing to move forward in the fear, okay? Be fearless. That's what we're told. If we want to conquer fear, we're told that we need to be fearless. No fear. Okay? But didn't we just say a while ago that fear is an innate part of being a human being? So the answer isn't being fearless, at least not at first. Okay? I was afraid to come on this stage. Why? Because this is the largest group of people I've ever spoken to. I was afraid to talk about being gay to a large crowd like this. Why? I don't know. Fear of the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? But my point is, you're going to be afraid. So, the brave thing, the courageous thing, the thing that those gay people who were beaten by the cops and thrown in jail just to fight for rights, that anybody who gets harassed by the authorities or powers that be or whatever that goes against what society says is supposed to be the right thing. Those people are stepping forward. They have fear. Unless you're like the Dalai Lama or somebody who's gotten to some level of enlightenment, and maybe some of us will here. But at the moment, the majority of people have fear. They don't know what's going to happen to them, yet they know that there's something in them that drives them to do what they're doing. Okay? So it's walking through the fear. It's recognizing, you know what, damn it, I am afraid, and it's okay. I'm not any less brave, any less courageous because I'm afraid of something. It's just an initiation process. It's a rite of passage. So be afraid and do it anyway. How do you do that? What's the worst that could happen is what you need to think. What's the worst that could happen? Okay? This is where the reasonable recklessness comes into play. To be reckless means to move forward in the face of fear. To be reasonable about it means don't mess around and get yourself killed. Okay? It means think about how it's going to affect you and the people that care about you. If you've got children, you can be reckless, but you have to be reasonable about it. You have to make sure that you're focusing on meeting the needs of your children. If it means you want to move overseas and take them with you so they can have an education in, traveling to different places, etc., people are doing that. It's against the grain, but the point is you're making sure that you're reasonable about it. That said, if you've established that what you want to do is not going to hurt you or someone else, another human being, then there's no reason not to do it. In fact, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the world to do it. You're only holding back the beauty and the gifts that you've been given from the world when you don't live in yourself, in your truth, should I say. So, when you start doing these things, when you start walking through your fear and living recklessly, it becomes easier and easier to the point where one day you'll see, I'm not afraid of this. What was the worst that could happen? I had to go back and live in my parents' basement for 30 days while I got myself back together. But I tried to start a business. I tried to climb Mount Everest. So I don't have any regrets. And my parents are glad to have me home, right, for those few months. If that's the worst that can happen, then be reasonably reckless and change the world. Thank you very much, guys.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.